Hello and welcome back to my thoughts on Star Trek The Next Generation. That's right, while my channel may be doing a weekly Doctor Who rewatch podcast, that doesn't mean I'm not still watching Star Trek The Next Generation for the very first time. And while I've argued with myself a little bit about whether it's worth doing a video for every season, I think there's definitely enough Season 2 specific discussion to be had as a first-time viewer. So if you haven't watched the first video, probably worth going back and giving that a watch to get my general impressions of seeing The Next Generation for the first time. If you're not aware, I'm doing this as part of like a franchise-long watch-through. I also just watched through all of Star Trek, the original series, for the first time, and all of the movies. And yeah, I'm still enjoying this. I'm still loving every second. So some of the key things about Season 2 which stand out to me are, first of all, Dr. Crusher is no longer with us. She has been promoted, she is off the Enterprise, and instead we have Dr. I should really know her name, we just spent an entire season with her. Dr. Pulowski. How could I forget a name like Dr. Pulowski? Anyway, I'm a big Dr. Crusher fan, so I spent the first half of this season willing anything bad to happen to Dr. Pulowski. There's an episode where she gets infected with an aging thing, and it looks like she's not going to make it. I'm like, oh, is this how they write her off the show? Because I get the sense that this is a temporary cast switch out. I've seen a thumbnail for season 3, and it seems like it has Dr. Crusher in it, so I'm kind of like, how does that happen? Why did that happen? Maybe something happened with the actor in real life. Maybe she was on maternity leave or something. I don't really know. I haven't looked it up. But I've got to say, Dr. Pulowski grew on me, and by the end of season 2, I would say I like her about as much as I like Dr. Crusher, you know? I wonder if this is like a hotly debated topic among TNG fans. Like, are they like, I prefer Pulowski, I prefer Crusher, or is it just like a widespread like, yeah, Crusher was better. Anyway, she brought more of a cynical dynamic to the crew in terms of she was more reminiscent of Bones from Star Trek the original series. She had more kind of like, she was a little bit more grumpy, she had a little bit more cynicism, she had a bit more of a hostile relationship, well maybe not hostile, but a bit more of a tempestuous relationship with Captain Picard. I was like, what the hell is Picard's name again? I'm doing really well. And you know, if Dr. Crusher does come back next season, which I still kind of hope she does, I hope they don't just throw away Pulowski and never talk about her again. I hope she still shows up. Maybe they could have both of them, but then I don't know how that would work out. They do seem to fill the same role. But yeah, it's been fun. Pulowski approved. Another addition to the cast, which I get the impression is a little bit more permanent, is Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan. And I love her. She's such a fun character. Like this kind of like maternal figure, this like guiding, like, you know, I'm behind a bar, but I'm here to make sure everyone's having a nice time on, what do they call it? Because this is also like a new area of the Enterprise that we see for the first time this series. I want to say Deck Zero, but it's not Deck Zero. But they have a name for it, and it's gonna bug me. It's called the 10 Forward. I don't know what that means. Anyway, I really love some of the conversations she has with Wesley. There's an episode where Wesley falls in love with a girl, and he's trying to navigate those emotions, and, you know, Riker's there as a kind of father figure, and then Guinan is there also to help with his feelings. And she has a really lovely quote about, like, yeah, you'll never find someone like her again, but you'll find someone else and it'll be different, but it'll be amazing, kind of thing. It's a really nice quote at the end of that episode. I really like it. And then of course we find out that she's not actually human, and we don't really get much information about this, to the point where I'm not even sure if the crew of the Enterprise knew about this before this episode. But the Borg episode, the Borg have shown up, and this is a good time to start transitioning into talking about them. I have heard of a Borg. One spoiler I know, which happens later on in Star Trek, is that Picard gets abducted by the Borg at some point and gets slightly Borgified, and then gets rescued, and then is apparently never the same again, because people just assume everyone's seen every episode of Star Trek and just talk about it. Like, you know how spoilers are on the internet. People are like, yeah, if this came out 10 years ago or more, like, everyone's seen it, right? Everyone's just seen it by default. I'm not annoyed. No, I'm legitimately not annoyed. If I'm being honest, knowing that spoiler makes it more interesting seeing the Borg for the first time. Like, I wouldn't ask to be spoiled on anything, but having the spoiler in my brain, I'm like, oh fuck, I know the Borg are a big deal, and here they are, and bloody hell does that episode make them out to be a big deal. I already said this a lot in the previous episode of Thoughts on Star Trek, but I love that Star Trek TNG has season-wide continuity plot development. Like, I love that the Borg are like set up ahead of time, and then later on there's an episode where they're doing simulated war games because they're trying to hone their instincts for future conflict with the Borg. And the Borg are terrifying. Like, just like how methodical they are, and how heartless they are, and how advanced they are, and how like the Enterprise was like helpless without Q intervening and saving them or whatever. It's so fucking interesting, and I'm so excited to learn more about that. Now, in terms of episodes in season 2 in general, I think I pretty much liked all of them. They did do another Troy's Mother episode, and they pretty much made all the jokes they made in the previous Troy's Mother episode, and I found that a little bit torturous. They did the gong thing again, and they did the, "Ooh, Picard, I didn't know you were harboring such thoughts about me" thing again, but twice in the same episode. He seemed shocked. I don't know why he's shocked. You should just expect us at this point, dude. Didn't love that episode. Anyway, but one of the episodes I absolutely loved, and I don't know if it gets talked about as much as some of the, like, obvious amazing episodes, like Time Squared. I think I've heard about Time Squared before I ever saw that episode. Like, not what happened in the episode, but just the fact that there is an episode called Time Squared, and it is about time travel, and it is... or like time paradoxes or whatever, and it is, you know, that was a bloody brilliant episode. But another bloody brilliant episode was The Measure of a Man, which is the court case for whether Data is allowed to choose where he goes and what he does. Does he have a right to choose? Does he have rights? Is he a sentient being? That episode was so fucking good. I was absolutely hooked, and it's really rare that a serialized show with a set structure can really entice me to care about the fate of a character, because on some level you know that unless it's like some season finale, they are very likely going to be fine next week. So any amount of writing which can make you forget that for a moment, like obviously I didn't think Data was actually going anywhere, but like that part of my brain was not active. I was just fully focused on the story. I was fully immersed in the story, and it was bloody brilliant. Anyway, I'm not going to drag this out too long. I'm going to keep these mid-season thoughts on videos fairly short, I think, but just a quick update for you. I've just finished Season 2 of Next Generation. Those are some of the things that stood out to me, and I'm really excited to watch more. So, yeah, watch this space, and hey, if you also like Doctor Who, and you don't know, I'm currently doing a weekly rewatch podcast of Doctor Who. We are 5 episodes in, and I'm having a wonderful time doing that. So there's more sci-fi on the channel if you want to take a look around. Maybe subscribe, maybe leave a like on this video. Ooh, it still feels weird asking to do that. I made fun of YouTubers for doing this for so long, and now I've come crawling on my knees asking for your help. Oh well, I'll get over it. Bye!